We are back. Welcome to the Eric Von Wade Show, the Mushroom Cloud of Truth, the Lukenbach of Talk Radio. Man, it's good to have you on. I know
Hey, it's good to be here. I mean, you guys have been doing a fantastic job. I bragged about you guys for all week, by the way. I don't know if you've noticed, but last week, your show with Charlie Zahn and those guys, y'all did a fantastic job. In fact, I think he clarified very well the future of the Nueces River Authority and the Harbor Island Project and its potential better than anybody else has, just very succinctly.
Well, and something that we mentioned talking just a little while ago with Steve was the fact that he brought up that transparency is something that all these people are after and makes perfect sense.
Right.
And my argument, the thing that kind of got me, was the fact that we've got some newly elected city councilmen that don't know a lot of the details that are coming in. They're making votes on things they can't wrap their head around. They don't have all the details on, and that was why they had the 5-4 vote to push it for a month.
Right.
Now, I have no problem with that. I have problems with 12-hour city council meetings.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be exhausted. I don't want them to you want people that are making decisions, vital decisions for the future of your city, to have their head on a swivel, be able to understand what's going on and have a grasp of the concepts, right?
Absolutely. Well, and Augs, here's the thing. I haven't been to a city council meeting in probably 25 years. About the last time I spoke at one, I went down for that city council meeting.
Yeah.
And I spoke to the council. And I just issued the same kind of pragmatic position I have now. It's not a perfect plan. I have issues with the cost. I have issues with the transparency along the way. But to satiate my desire to go back and point out where it was done wrong or who did what wrong is not going to help expedite the solution. And as it stands now, I mean, I tell you, the reality is this desal is absolutely crucial. It is the only fully permitted plan. There has been just because this council, and I respect their desire to want to know because they're responsible to their constituents, whether they're at large as the entire city or whether it's their district. But we've had 2 years of opportunities, right, or so to speak, in order to ferret this out. Where we're at now is a timeline that even if this is the fastest project we have fully permitted, ready to go, if we don't move forward with this and it doesn't rain, we're still in a very bad position. So the other proposals that people are talking about are still generally hypothetical because we don't have the wells we're going to drill, as an example. It's very brackish water. That water is not good to go straight out of the ground. That's why our plan is to dump it in the river. That helps to dilute some of that salinity, and then still there may be more work that needs to be done on it. And I don't understand why. Well, I guess I do because the council has not solidified their position. And that also is part of the issue. We look like a city that can't make decisions. And I say that not just based on the desal, but even though, we can point fingers as to blame, we had a naming rights issue that went on for 2 years. And, as much as I hate to be the one that says this, we should have, you've got to do something or get off the pot.
Yes.
And I just think it's not fair to even the Hilliard Law Group, because they're still having to ride out the residual as they're the new namesake.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, I think the worst case scenario for this is our city undergoing a case of paralysis by analysis.
Yep, and it is not that these questions aren't valid. It's not that their points are not valid. It's that in the linear timeline, and there only is one linear timeline, and I say that like it goes from point A to point B. It starts at 9, ends at 10. Is that we are going to run out of water without rain and without 30 million gallons a day of this desal. I think it should have been solidified, clarified. Part of the problem is what I just explained, in that we have different sources of different quality of water. Now, we've done 400 million modeling examples of how the salinity is going to affect the bay. Why don't we take that same modeling and illustrate to council what's going to happen with all these other proposals?
Yeah.
Because if nothing else, it'll illustrate what I sorted out in a day, less than a day, a few hours, sitting down and looking at, okay, where's the water that we use? How much of it? I mean, if we shut industry down, there is a good chance we may lose control of our city government, because the federal government is not going to allow an entity that's responsible for 10% of what makes this country move go to non-production.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And so,
Well, getting the accurate numbers is something that's really important. Getting this boiled down to an easy vote is definitely something easier said than done. One of the things that Charlie Zahn spoke about last week was getting together some kind of board that would be able to, as an advisory committee, basically, with certified blue ribbon people from all over the coastal bend. So it's not just something that benefits Corpus. This is it's an advisory council to basically tell them, yes, here's the science. This looks good. Here's what we can do. Here's what we recommend. This is what you get to vote on, and have city council actually trust that group. That's the big thing.
well, and here's the thing, and I've seen this a number of times. If the individuals do not come to a conclusion on their own, no amount of external information or urging or pushing is going to cause them to do anything but dig their heels in.
Yeah.
And that's the nature of people who will run for public office. Now, in this situation, we only need one,
Yeah.
by my account.
Literally,
anyway.
yeah.
We only need one person to realize the urgency and the gravity of the situation. I mean, I've said this so many times on Retro Country 105.9, 103.3. You get two channels to listen to the same thing. And plus, there's the podcast now where you can find all the shows very easily.
Yep. The Retro Radio CC app is very nice.
It's outstanding. And I think that people have to really get in check. There's some times where we are... all of us have a bit of an entitlement mentality when we expect someone else to bring all the information to us. The information has been brought to us. It's been revisited because now we have a council, and I say this, that is concerned about something that is critical and probably a key component to where we are right now, and that's transparency. I give them high marks across the board for that. If we'd have had better transparency, we would have demanded more clear answers. And we could have avoided how many weeks of contention did we have where a council had not had a retreat that's responsible for a significant portion of the division today over the issue of a far-field study that was already in the Kiewit proposal.
Yeah. Like we mentioned, it's 3 years worth of knowledge in a 2-year term, and they're just at the beginning kind of phase of this. I think there's the transparency issue bothers me. The fact that I couldn't get a simple question answered. I just said, look, we can solve this by figuring out what will be the lowest impact to our water bill for all the Corpus Christi water users, all of us and our friends and families. What will be the lowest impact to the water rates that would get us to a point where we can get our feet under us and
Right.
get clearly out of stage 3, comfortably into stage 2, and look at the reduction of this threat, right? Because let's not dissuade ourselves or lie to ourselves about this. It's a threat.
Yeah, it is. And here's what gets me. And I'm not. If you listen to me for 30 years, I'm not one who has ever subscribed to the sky is falling tactic of leveraging someone to support something. I didn't do it. That tactic was tried on the first proposal for the new Harbor Bridge 25 years ago. I still didn't accept it. They came back with a proposal that had today's design, for the most part. That I accepted. Same thing when it came to Pack Ridge Channel. Pack Ridge Channel, the first time that they proposed it, it didn't have jetties that went out far enough. It didn't. It was going to be a major cost in continual dredging. I believe by the science that was there. They came back with another proposal. It wasn't everything it could be, but the jetties were significantly longer, and I believe that it would work. And so we have the Pack Ridge Channel, and not that my opposition made that big a difference one way or another, but I was certainly being courted to have an opinion favorable of it.
Well, Pack Ridge Channel was a very interesting case study for me because I was living here at the time, but I wasn't involved with public politics or anything really like that. I just know that I wanted the channel, and I started learning about how a lot of this stuff got done. And talking with John Michael after the fact, who was always a big champion for it, as well as a lot of our other, my other fishing and hunting friends, hunting and fishing and surfing friends, I should say, and listening to how they got the ball across the finish line and what it really took to make this happen opened my eyes to the real realm of political theater, how the game is really played.
Yeah.
And it was just shocking to see how we actually get the funding for this and what you really need to do to call this XYZ. You're not misnaming it. It's the same project. You give it a different title. Here's the angle. Then all of a sudden, all these doors open.
Yeah.
You know, the red carpet rolls out.
And then
People
the Army
are-
Corps of Engineers decides to get involved. And
Yes.
then, you know,
Yeah.
this is the creativity, intelligence of people when we choose wisely for city staff, or not just the CEO, but the COO. I'm talking about Drew Molly, and one of the reasons
Yes,
why he
yeah,
gets so much praise is because he understands how to operate within the system to maximize the potential for multiple sources of funding and to get the correct engineering and to move it forward, and then to lay out for the people who do support it and see it what they need in order to lead constituents in saying, hey, this is what it's about, this is what it's going to benefit you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that when they brag about Drew Molly, that's what they're bragging about. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And in a nutshell, nobody ever explains it. And I think, you know, he's an okay looking guy, but I mean, you know, you got to give some specifics to why is he the best? Why is he such a smart pick that Peter Zanoni made? And that's in a nutshell why. And it's not easy to navigate those waters. I mean, you got a bunch of sharks and piranha, and they're all looking to take a piece of your flesh.
Yeah.
And so, and then if you don't have it together, you're gonna move forward with something. And I say this, it rarely happens, but if you come out and say, "Don't worry about that, we'll figure that out later," you're doomed because
Yeah.
I'll eat you alive. I mean,
Yeah.
there are no shovel-ready projects, as we learned during the Obama administration, waiting for funding. A project does not move forward unless it has funding, because that's the key element. So if you don't have answers for basic questions now, and you're launching the motion to move forward with something that's going to cost us money, well, I have issues now. Part of the thing was confusion, and I think it was a legitimate question by council on the night they decided to, and it was night, when they decided to delay this vote till the 26th of August, and it was a legitimate question Eric Cantu brought up. He said, well, how are we going to pay for the remaining 442 million, that is not covered by this? Well, the end result and answer has always been something that is obvious to people on the inside, but maybe not to everybody else. And he's a new member of council. We would issue, certificates of obligation, bonds, in order to pay for that if we cannot find some, and this is the if that we're hoping for, as we're continuing to lobby the governor and others to help out with this project. As we are a key component, 10% of your, and again, I keep hearing this all, 10% of the fuel that moves this country is coming from the refineries that we have here. They're not building any new ones, and if they did, you're looking at a 26-year time span at best.
They were looking at doing a pet coke fired power plant a while ago. It was the Las Brisas project,
Yep.
I believe was the name. And I talked with the PR guy for that about several different things, and it made it only so far. People were fighting that on every little bit. I remember the city council meetings where the people were coming in for public comment they were just completely irate and losing it. They did not want this to happen. And one of the guys, the guy named Carlos, was working with him. One of the things that always stuck with me was he said, I convinced a whole room of people to go for this project because he told them, look, according to these numbers, the EPA will allow us to perform at, like, say, on a 1 to 10 level. He said they'll give us up to about a 4. He said this plant, from our numbers and the way we're looking at the modeling, comes in at a 0.5. So it's way healthier than anything else. And your water bill will go down 30%.
Yeah.
And he said, man, that just did it for people. And, oh, wow, okay, it's going to reduce the water bill. The project ended up getting fought by every, what's the actual term? Every green organization you could imagine, left, right, and center. They were coming out of the woodwork protesting this thing, and they stalled it enough for it to not go through. And it hit me at that point in time. There is probably no chance of getting another refinery down here, in one of the biggest energy ports in the world.
Right.
And we're having trouble with that.
Well, and here's the pet coke was that's like candy for the morbidly obese in
the refinery world.
In the refinery world. Well, in the special interest world. This is the baby they can pistol whip, and I know that hurts, to take the candy, and they will do it every time because it's one of the older. It has a lot more residual byproduct potential. I would say that potential, but they ignore, and it's easy to blur the technology that has made pet coke so far more improved in its emissions and so forth than it used to be. I saw that thing wither on the vine and die. It was just getting beaten and beaten and beaten, and unlike me, it went down. And so, but this reality of refineries, we hear about turnarounds, we hear about these. The refineries are continually updating and reinvesting, and it's reinvestment that is not just about improving their productivity. It's reinvestment that has significant benefits to the environment and their carbon footprint, their wastewater footprint, whatever it may be. I mean, when you see a refining industry that can reduce by half the amount of water that they use, that's pretty significant. Let's not forget, they may be paying bulk rates for water, but when they're putting additional money, we got, $30 million in a fund that they're creating to help contribute to this.
Yeah.
To me, the council should have done this. And I've got some specific questions, by the way, for you and for the island here as well, because I've been spending a little bit more time on the island than I have in the past. I love this view, though. When you got pelicans flying by, you have that magic time frame for photos with the rising sun. I think about the JFK Causeway, the elevation of it that was, well, they promised us things that weren't true with it. And at the same time, I still supported it because when it came to hurricanes, there's only one way off the island.
Yeah.
And without that elevation, now, it didn't increase the flow because it was never designed to do that.
Yeah.
Yet people were telling us that.
It maintained 2 lanes.
Right.
I'll take a safer 2 lanes over, your tires hitting the water at mean high tide.
Absolutely.
It used to be really bad. I'm sure a few of our friends on Radio Land remember those days.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, I remember photographs that my grandparents used to have where there were 2 wooden rails that the tires of a Model A and Model T would fit into.
I love those photos.
Yeah. And that's how you would drive there. My grandparents made that trip back in the 50s, I guess it was still around. Or the problem with it is if somebody wasn't paying attention and they ran off the rail, it's not that they would drown or die necessarily because it's not that deep, but it took a long time for everybody else to get past because somebody had to get out there and jack that car up and get it back on the rails because there's no turnaround.
I can only imagine. Sitting in a Model T, making that trip, and then finding out what the island's developed out to now.
Right.
It's just to watch that. It's got to be something incredible.
It's amazing because I say this, and this is where some of the ideas came to me about the island. The island has an enormous amount of wealth, and for so much wealth, they still seem to be lacking things that would be obvious for anybody anywhere else.
There's a big list of things that I know a bunch of the islanders would really like. But just before we take a quick little break and jam out for a second, I do want to ask you, do you believe in luck? Do you think luck is a thing?
In the Viking sense of luck, chance, yes. It's not the same concept as the
superstition,
right? Well,
yeah.
It's they believe in. There's a number of things. I'll try to shorten this up. It is what you put out consistently, coming back to you in a reality of when you need it, it's there. Now, that's not so much the luck that we have. That's blind hope. Something happens. And we don't make a connection. People do this all the time. The lack of connection is why we have bad people who continue to do bad things because they don't see how the frustrations in their life are a direct result of it. And unfortunately, we have people who don't realize there is real magic in the world because they don't understand that every time you make a choice, you're throwing a rock into the great flat pond of life, and the ripples, it takes time for those rocks, for the ripples to hit the shore where you are. So if you just turned around and you started doing things right and it seems like everything's going wrong, well, you're still getting residual from the other.
Yeah. Well, this time of year, just before dove season, I always end up listening to The Bird Hunters by Turnpike. And it's one of my favorite songs. I always end up playing it this time of year, and it always ends up raining at the beginning of dove season.
Yeah.
So I'm playing this song in hopes that we get some nice little rain and actually start kind of bring a little water back our way.
Yeah.
And just relieve people's anxiety a little bit.
But it can wait till dove season's over or before. I mean,
Yeah. Well, just not opening weekend.
Right. I mean, for crying out loud, I got a 20 gauge Model 12 Winchester from 1927 that I'd like to go and use the poly choke on.
All right. Well, this is the Eric Von Wade Show. My name is Jacob Oggs. I am running the board today. And we're going to jam out. Thank you, brother. We're going to do a quick jam out, and we will join you guys back in a couple minutes.
And then he got 3 and looked back grinning. I fumbled tried to reload. The country was cold with the sun westward sinking. It's good to be back in this place with my hands around Belgian-made brown and my mind on the lines of her face. Well, now Danny's my buddy. We grew up like family, hunted this timber before we could drive. And the old English pointer, he once belonged to me, but I gave him up when I moved to no fire. Off with the girl, off to the city, off on a wing and a chance. Hell, I thought it'd play out just like some story. We fell in love at a rodeo dance. She said, go on back to Cherokee County. Won't you crawl back with nothing but a razor and a comb? Says, baby, if you need me, I'll be where you found me. Go on to hell, honey, I'm headed home. Dan says, look at old Jim, a dozen Decembers behind him, no worse for the wear. And your time spent in Tulsa did not help your shooting. And look at the gray in your hair. How good does it feel? You belong in these hills. It's best that you let it all in. You'd married that girl, you'd married a family. You dodged that bullet, my friend. She said, go on back to Cherokee County. Won't you crawl back with nothing but a razor and a comb? Says, baby, if you need me, I'll be where you found me. Go on to hell, honey, I'm headed home. Oh, and I was beginning to deal with it in. The old dog had pointed while part of me died. Then a flutter of feathers, then a shotgun to shoulder. I thought of the 4th of July. Should be home on the 4th of July. Bet we dance on the 4th of July. Dan says, hell of a shot. Looks like you still got it. That's what we came here to do. Well, it's light enough still at the foot of the hill. We could kick up a single or two. She said, go on back to Cherokee County. Won't you crawl back with nothing but a razor and a comb? Says, baby, if you need me, I'll be where you found me. Go on to hell, honey, I'm headed home. Go on to hell, honey, I'm headed home.
Coming at you, it is the Mushroom Cloud of Truth, Eric Von Wade. Ed O'Connor does the best intro on that.
He
I
does.
love that.
You know, Ed's got a voice that, you know, it's a good thing he's a guy, because otherwise, I mean, I could double my wardrobe and listen to that sweet voice every morning. But no, I mean, yeah, he does a fantastic job. He's just got that. He's got that sound, and it's iconic. And even if people don't know who it is, they know that voice.
He's been a part of, of radio in South Texas for over 40 years. and through knowing the voice, and then I've had other friends, from even back in the 94.7 Texas country days.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, and all that's what I think when I first met Ed.
Yeah.
But it's always fun. Just reminds me kind of the flavor of home and the benefit of local radio.
Absolutely. Well, and here's the thing. Ed has probably one of the most generous and benevolent general states of mind that you're going to run into. And you wouldn't think somebody that's been in business that long, they oftentimes radio people get a bit paranoid. I can see why some of that happens now, but
Yeah.
but they get a bit paranoid. They're very covetous of their territory. Everybody's a competitor. And the great thing about this, that was the environment I saw when I first started. That's what,
Yeah.
And really, it's nice to be part of a family in which I think it's, it takes one person to break the ice. I brag about you guys all the time. I brag about the coffee wave and morning wave, excuse me. And I'm having coffee at that time.
Yeah.
It's, it's a great thing to be part of. Locally owned and operated, in my mind, used to be a catch-all for they're good, but it's not as good as everything else, and but you will get more into it. Here, I will put us up against anybody in the country as far as quality, programming, interest, content, structure, and we're doing all of that with a tenth of the manpower. So I will put us up against New York City, California. Another radio station wants to have a radio station off or whatever it may be. Fine, we'll do it. We'll whoop you. And Ed Ocañas, here's the thing. You think, oh, Ed, he's in his mature senior years now, and what does he know about the young guy stuff? He can mix
He's following
scratch records with the best of the DJs.
Oh yeah.
In fact, he will teach them and school them a thing or two. You don't get to do something that long, and I was impressed. I broke his headphones dancing around to some of his stuff at a wedding, but I feel bad about that. But nonetheless, he can make it work, and he knows how to read a crowd. The other part of being good at radio and broadcasting is reading a crowd. In the early days, there was a lot more work that DJs generally had to do. You had to get there hours before your shift. You had to check each record for needle burn. Mm-hmm. You had 3 copies of every record. So when it got to be where it was crackling or popping, it was your job to make sure it didn't get on the air. And you put that in the giveaway to the listeners' free record stack, right? And then you had to make sure that you had everything synced up right well in advance, because we didn't have computers to do it for you. We didn't have the assistants and things. You had to hear it.
It was all manually.
Right.
Yeah.
And your auditory skills had to be on par with computers, because you had to hear how you're going to transition from one to the next. So there was all that went into it. Now it's they require less sophisticated experience and art from you outside of your broadcasting. Broadcasting, you still have to be able to do and connect. But Ed grew up under all that, and it does give you something in the way of experience. Now, if you were a brand new DJ and you came on and you didn't know about the history of it, there would be a lot of things that you had to have explained to you. And I see there's an analogy to where that experience and having been there and having learned it makes a difference in how quickly you can get up to speed, which is what our city council is trying to do without that knowledge of the past and this issue of water. We just don't have the luxury to. Any other issue, it's fine. Any other issue, we can debate it, go back and rehash it. We can turn around, do a 180, do a 320, do whatever it is that people want to do. This is one of those where if they look at the linear timeline, other solutions, they're great, but are they fully permitted? Are they ready to go? We got water wells we can do. That's bad water, though, as far as straight out of the ground. You can't drink it. It's got to be diluted. It's got to be refined. Mm-hmm. We just, I guess, approved, what was it, $400 million for our new water treatment plant? Yeah. And if I got the number correct on that, that wouldn't be necessary if we moved forward again with desal plant, because that could serve as our second facility, as our backup facility, and also be the source of water that we need. Maybe still not in time. It's the fastest thing we have, and it still may not be enough in time, and that's what really worries me. People don't get that. It's not like we're arguing over whether to change the motto or not.
Yeah, I wish it was easy enough to just say find the route that would be the least impact to the paying customer and go that way. But it's more of a multifaceted problem.
Well,
and it's not just, hey, this is what we need to do, let's vote on it. There's, there are pricing issues
Right.
and differences and things that we don't know. This is before we get to the unknown unknowns.
Right.
There are the known unknowns where it's like we know we're going to have to incur this cost. We just don't. We can estimate it. We don't know it yet.
Right.
And you would think it would be an easy decision.
Here's what I know for sure can be done, okay? And what will be done in the future if we survive this. If we don't make the right decision very quickly, and it's true, this is not a threat. We're delaying potentially a year, 2 years the completion of this when already 2028 is not fast enough. I don't like the cost. I don't like the lack of transparency. I could go down a list of things I don't like about this proposal, and I am pro desal since 1995. In fact, I would challenge anybody that's alive today to say they've been for desal longer than me.
Yeah.
And we're using one of the oldest technologies, reverse osmosis. I was a big supporter 25 years ago of multi-effect distillation, and that is producing a much higher grade quality of water that you could use for sale to pharmaceutical companies, because you need super clean water as a solution base, and that's what it would come from. It came in prefabricated sections that you could add to as you went along. It was ditched because city staff put out information to city council of 4 fabricated units, which would have replaced the entire water source that was used by the city of Corpus Christi at the time. My proposal, my plan, and it wasn't just me, the Taxpayers Association, everybody gave a hard time to, said, get the Mary Roads contracts, secure that water. But before you build a pipeline, put that money into desalination, and we would have it, because we were no longer in a crisis at that moment in time, and we had the luxury to do that. And we could have gotten 2 sections. It would have been half the price of what we're looking at now or less, and we would have had more options. But again, people didn't want to do that. What we have now are people that don't understand the science and the rest of it. I can tell you, even if the science is wrong, the Inner Harbor project is it's not so wrong that it's going to ruin our water system in the Inner Harbor. And if we get to where we don't like it, there's always being able to pipe it out somewhere else. And because we're looking at things in such a egocentric aspect with this, we're not categorizing ourselves as part of everything else. If we go down, you might as well go ahead and give the naming rights to that bridge for Thomas J. Henry, so he can say, here lies what was once the city of Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
And it'll be one giant arrow of example of what not to do. Because if we don't secure it in time, we've already lost billions in industry because we don't have our water situation taken care of. It's no longer 1995. It's no longer 2005. It's no longer 2015. The circumstances have changed. The number of people and the growth of all the areas around us, except for us, has made the demand for the sources of groundwater at a point where it's not what it once was. We have so many straws in the ground now and so many more people drawing from it, it's not going to get any better. The only thing that will make it better is when we cycle into a wet season. And if we don't get this solved before then, we're not going to have a wet season. And
Yeah.
that's the truth of it all. We could save ourselves $400 million on this new facility. If we go ahead and issue bonds for that, then they're going to turn around and put us in the same situation we're already in.
So what do you think about the chance of a storm?
I think it's very minimal because now most people don't know this. Kevin Kieschnick was a meteorologist. He has that's what he has his education in. I didn't realize that either. I've known him for a long time. He wrote a Facebook post last week, and I had him on the show the day after I got carjacked. And we were still...
Yeah, I remember. He said you looked like you got attacked by a tiger.
Yeah, and you know, I kind of felt that way, except I would respect the tiger more.
Yeah,
And so he said, and this is true, and when he said it, it immediately rang true with me. When it comes to years and seasons like this, if we don't have a lot of rain leading up to our next season, we're not going to get it in the next season.
Yeah.
We have not had a wet year, so we'll get enough rain to ruin dove season. That's guaranteed, but it's not going to be rain where we need it. And that's why I think it's crucial. I don't know why the city isn't moving forward with this already, but groundwater collection, former city councilman has been an advocate for that, Klein. I think he deserves credit for pointing it out. When we do get rain, we have runoff that is absurd. You know, you've seen it. We have streets that flood. Why are we not collecting and utilizing that? And there's some things logistically to be sorted out. Where you're going to store it. There's been some that suggested underneath the airport because there's a place to do that. Wherever. The pipeline is going to be a lot shorter than it will be to the next water source. And we're talking about manna from heaven, almost literally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've got those collection ponds right under the exchange for the new freeway. There's water that's been standing there for months.
Yeah, we've got muddle and puddle.
Right.
You know, when it rains, that water goes straight to there.
So
Let's just
what
let's pump that out, and yeah,
I have said this before, and this is where we run into the problem.
I'm being facetious
No,
on
no,
that,
well,
by the
I
way.
mean,
Yes, yeah.
I saw him winking and grinning for the record.
Yeah.
But in order for you to have the will of the people, you have to be a salesman. And that's what we call leadership, in short. When we have a council that's come in and rightfully so had some misgivings about things that have been done in the council before, or a lack of transparency that led you to conclude there was something wrong, you're not out there selling or even working against us, because this project has been almost 3 councils ago. 2
Yeah.
councils ago. Excuse me, almost. We need leadership who can see, make a decision, and if it's to kill the city, make a decision one way or the other. But I beg them to look at this more closely, to do the due diligence on their own, and to be objective about it, because there is not enough time to wait for everybody to bring it to you and lay it in your lap. I love it when a good time falls out of the sky, lands on my face, and begins to wiggle, but that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
to go out and make fun happen. You have to go out and make the information come to you. And because of the crisis that we're in, I still wonder. I heard the mayor during the council meeting where they decided to delay till the 26th. She was offering up that she would have a letter of clarification within a week, and they could have an emergency session. So I'm assuming that the letter did not come yet. But anytime you guarantee a deadline in government, it's like I cringe. I will never
Oh.
guarantee anything. I will say all indications is this.
Yeah.
Because when you guarantee it, God says ha ha ha, and is going to make it not happen. There's only one person that can guarantee anything happens at any particular point in time, and he's got bigger issues to deal with in most cases.
So speaking, of course, the water issue is huge. That's something that's looming over the city right now. What other issues are up there for you?
Well, and this is something that I'm afraid council cannot literally have tunnel vision. There's so many hours in a day during council meeting days. Those things go on forever. Now, I'll say this. I saw exactly, and it was a good thing I went down there, I saw exactly what council's talking about when it comes to paid spokespeople. They're all wearing kitschy little shirts.
Yeah.
You get a bunch of cute young girls to go up there, and which doesn't help in reality, because I'm just paying attention to what they look like. But I listen to. But the thing is, that portion of it went by very smoothly this last time. Public comment, not a problem. The issue is the volume of things that they have to approve that are not sexy, they're not interesting to most people.
Yeah.
The only reason why desal is interesting is because it's been talked about so much. We have a golden era of talk radio for the moment. As long as the city's around, this could be great. But if it goes under, it doesn't matter. We're talking about a tempest in a teacup. And so, but the big issue for me is that we need to not stop our focus on all. We can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yeah.
It was longer than it should have been. We have council members who are trying their best. I'm not going to single anybody out. Trying so hard to make both factions happy, but they don't understand Robert's Rules of Order. They're having to get clarification about how they can't do this and this, and even in the end, nobody wanted it because it's not really what they wanted.
And it upsets me that there's some seeds of distrust between city staff and the council.
Well, there's always going to be some of it, because no matter how objective you claim to be as a city staff member, there is an agenda that they believe they want. Now, how objectively honest are you going to be in providing information? That is the key. I anchor the news, and I can tell you as a proud conservative voice, I can be completely objective and still make my delivery something interesting. The mentality is in media that you have to have what they call swagger, which is to lean a bias in one way or another that instigates people to be upset or in support of what you're doing. The upset is where you really get the listeners. I don't know why people think controversy is so bad. In the media, it's all good. So
Yeah.
if you're Dan Rather and you've done something so left-wing biased, it infuriates the right. If you play it just right, you've got free advertising, free marketing. You've got more people checking to see how bad you are. If you push it too far, now you've got a problem.
Well, and there's so many people out there in the public that just have a really sour case of loss bias.
Right.
It hurts more to lose $5 than it does to make $5, right? Obviously. And then the whole thing right now is people are saying, okay, I can't water my grass, can't wash my car, I got to watch out when I wash my boat. There's maintenance things that you can get away with. But having to ask that question just turns people off to it immediately.
Yeah.
And
Well, I will say this. City staff needs to have more faith in the rightness of the direction that is obvious to them.
Yeah.
And when I say that, if you and I sit down and I laid out a modeling, if I had the money to do the computer modeling, and showed you how we're going to be withered on the vine by 2028, if we do, and there's no other solution that's going to give us what we need between now and then, we could come to a general conclusion. Now, the integrity, would it be for you to say, okay, if we had a tropical storm, or if we had a certain amount of rainfall that could push this out to 2032, that would make more projects viable. But right now we don't have that. So are you going to mention that when you provide this to the people who make decisions, or are you going to omit it because somebody might latch on to that? The might and the possibilities, our city council they may act in certain ways, and we like to give them our time, but they are not children. They're adult people who are elected to represent constituents. If you treat them like children that don't deserve the opportunity to be wrong, that's where you lose their trust. City staff is not the intelligentsia. It's a term used at, I believe it was Yale was the first place they brought that out, where if you're an intelligent person, it is your responsibility to do things even against the will of the masses because you're smarter than they are, and it's your charge to care for them. In America, we have a mentality that it's a bad home rule is better than elite rule that forces it down our throat. Unless it comes to the Mayor Roads pipeline, and then everybody wants to rewrite history. We could have had the water rights to that, and instead of building the pipeline, we did desal and then went and built the pipeline. We'd have been far better off. But we also made mistakes that have contributed to this. It's not all just this council. We let the Mayor Roads pipeline go into disarray. I had hunting ranches that I secured in which you had fish that were trophy fish in the pipe. There's obviously an issue there that wasn't getting resolved. We weren't doing full capacity. We were paying for it, but we weren't getting all the water we should. We didn't keep up with these things until it was a crisis, and it's like most things.
Well, now we're running around in the dark with the flashlight, and we can see all the roaches behind the refrigerator. Everybody's got their eye on anything associated with water, and we're realizing just how wrong we were doing things the entire time.
I like your analogy, but I'm going to take it a step further. We think we grabbed a flashlight, but all anybody's hearing is a vibration sound, and there's no light coming out of it. So we reached into somebody else's drawer in a panic, and we're not getting anywhere. And so this is what really perplexes me. People are just now getting it. It's like any other marketing and advertising, which is, by the way, going to lead me to my next issue about the island. But any kind of marketing and advertising, just about the time a business is at its end of wits, they've done everything and they're about to throw their hands up and quit. That's just about the time when people start to go, hey, there's a business over here that has something we want. The city of Corpus Christi is just now having its citizens wake up to, oh, wait, this isn't dull, boring stuff because we need water, and now they're paying attention. If we were at stage 4, I believe we would have already gotten the pressure necessary to be moving forward. But we haven't had the real. Think about it. Most people in Corpus Christi, at least 50%. They don't mow their yards every week when they're supposed to, when it does grow. They don't water it. They don't water the foundation. They redo the tile rather than fix the foundation where the tile's popped up.
Yeah.
And they don't wash their car on a regular basis. They drive around with it dirty till somebody writes an embarrassing "wash me" on it. And so the restrictions that we have thus far haven't really affected most people.
That was one of the things we were talking with and trying to get the numbers on. I know our buddy Ted Mandel was huge in this. He said, I get a water bill every month that's based on and has the number of the amount of water I've used.
Yeah.
Why isn't the city putting out a report that says, here's what our usage every month on this, and when we hit whatever stage, from stage 2 to 3, see what impact those conservation methods and impact, see impact, if any, conservation methods are really kind of working on the system.
Right.
Like show me some evidence that, people showering with 5-gallon buckets and then watering their plants with that. Show me that that's actually saving something.
I've washed my Jeep with half a gallon of water.
Yeah.
Now, that's when you keep up with it.
Yeah.
After getting carjacked and driven, it's so dirty now, it's maybe going to take me a gallon and a half.
Yeah.
But that's still better than letting the hose run down the street all day long, and it can be done. When we had our last serious drought, every day on television, there was another technique or tip that somebody developed. Like, we didn't have efficiency commodes, and still a lot of people don't. If you put inside a trash can liner 3 or 4 bricks, it takes up space in the tank. So when you flush, you're not using everything that it possibly could. So, I mean, things like this, little stuff like that, we would have more interest if we were in serious water
Yeah.
restrictions for people that affected more than just those of us who take pride in our yard and having a clean vehicle.
Well, it's never been more important for people to get the issue straight. That way, when it does hit the fan,
Right.
when the defecation hits the oscillator, and people look to City Hall, hey, what are you doing about this? If there's nothing going on, it's such a bad look. And the problem that I have is people around the coastal bend and bigger, even up to the state, are watching us.
Yeah.
And they're seeing this go down. We know San Antonio and Austin are having similar water issues there. I don't think they're near our kind of danger zone, the danger zone that we're in, but it's coming down the pipe. And we can,
and the cost of water we're worried about, they gladly take that in San Antonio. Gladly.
Yeah.
They're gladly. I mean, we're going to, in the future, if we survive, we're going to have the Inner Harbor and other desalination facilities.
Harbor Island is going to be the...
And I'm just saying, for the city, that's going to go forward for sure, because it has, in my opinion, the blessing of the governor, even if it's not an official. That one's going to move forward as a major facility, and we're still going to need more water. So we're gonna need to lap up every water contract we possibly can, no matter how bad the water is. The worst of it is seawater, because it's got the most to clean out. But I guarantee you, in the next 30 years, we'll have the city of Corpus Christi with 2 desalination plants if we survive.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. If we get into a wet season again, we act like we can't do anything with this water we're making. Yes, we can. We can sell that to somebody else. And so the quicker we get ours done, the better. If we wait until the Harbor Island has finished their project, we're screwed. And the reason being is they'll lap up every contract out there, and industry is not going to switch and go, oh, well, our friends in Corpus Christi who we like to deal with, now they have a plant.
Yeah.
No, you secure a contract, because there is no guarantee for the future of what we don't know. And industry is successful because they operate this way. So if we shut industry down, they'll start buying water from someone else, and we will dry up and wither away. We need the financial benefit of the water we sell, and we're missing out every day that we're not moving forward.
Exactly. Well, moving forward, that's the key thing.
Right.
Moving forward.
And I agree with not all, but I agree with many of the criticisms I have of myself. But we're not at a point of luxury anymore. If we wanted to stop this project, we should have been jumping up and down 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's too late now.
Yeah.
And I,
Well, and so speaking of starting projects, and welcome to the Eric Von Wade Show. If you're listening, we are glad. It is right at 9:49.
Oh my gosh!
This morning.
Time has gone by super fast.
Yeah.
I think we can go to noon. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Ed might let us.
He might, if he's listening. I think he would like this.
We are live from Doc's Seafood and Steaks, and we can probably order food. I think the kitchen opens at about 11.
Man,
so
it smells good. You know, one thing. I have 2 questions, and these are things that. One, I have a life hack for you real quick. If we have to take another bonus promotional moment, I got to talk about my friends. This life hack brought to you by Lemansky Law. If you need a defense attorney on any level, you want the man whose brain works like a legal computer. He is a walking encyclopedia of legal knowledge, and it's a husband and wife team. That local superiority of talent you just can't find anywhere else. And they're at 2300 Baldwin Boulevard. You can go by and see them there, as well as they have an immaculately groomed facility out there on the outside of it. I don't know who takes care of it, but let me tell you, it looks good. And you can go by and see them. It's an easy phone call to make as well. 361-888-4545. That's 361-888-4545. Lemansky Law. Scott F. Lemansky. And you know what that F stands for. Fantastic. Anyway, here's the life hack. Say this to the next person that you see. And I've done this. I stopped doing it. A friend of mine, Andy Benning, told me this the other day. You say to somebody as you've met them for the first time that day and you're parting, whatever it may be, I hope you have a day that's as fantastically sweet as you are. Now, if they've had an attitude, they know they've had an attitude.
Yeah.
Because they know the point you're making.
Yeah.
If they know they haven't, then they take that as a compliment. Andy was saying, I like to see what their reaction is going to be. I've never said something like that to somebody that they didn't already know.
Yeah.
So if they already know, then why do we let people get by with the, I don't know what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
They know if they have a bad attitude. I know when I'm in a bad mood.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. And so I'm not giving away what my snappy comeback would be, but the reality is, if you know you're in a bad mood and you're taking it out on somebody, either own it or change it.
Yeah.
And it's,
Well, I do the Southern thing when someone's giving attitude, either in a meeting or something like that. If I'm talking with anybody else, I just tell someone that they're a real peach today.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, this guy's being a real peach.
You know-
and that generally gets the point across. People are like, oh, okay, yeah, they detect the sarcasm and go from there.
That's a great point. You know, I've heard people say, "Oh, kill him with kindness," right?
Yeah.
Nobody has died yet, and I've tried. There is no people when you try to kill them with kindness, they think that one, they have it's either subconscious or conscious, either way, they've been given a blank check to continue with the conduct that they have because you're not acknowledging it. There's no consequence for their bad attitude.
Yeah.
And I am the consequence, unfortunately, for people's bad attitude and bullying. I can't stand it. I've stood up for people, cost myself all sorts of headaches because I don't like it when people are abusing their position, their power, or just someone else because they can.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy to be the last Boy Scout, but you know, I can sleep well at night, and if there's ever time for a debate, I have no fear. I have no fear in general because I have faith. And that's what we need to start thinking about when it comes to leading the city. At the same time, I have a question I thought I'd ask you and anybody else, because the island gets ignored an awful lot. And I say this, you wouldn't think it if you're on the island, but once you go across this bridge, if you're not with the island and there's problems elsewhere, you forget about the island. And that's
Indeed.
I have a question being, what is it that outside of water, what does the island need most? And I have an answer, but I may not be right.
So there are a few things that are actually ongoing projects right now that we've been following closely in the Island Moon at islandmoon.com and on Island Moon Live on YouTube. You can listen to us go through. We were talking with Brent Chesney, our county commissioner,
Right.
about the work on Bob Hall Pier and getting that done.
The Brent Chesney.
Yes,
The
and there's some aerials that I took yesterday actually that are in the Island Moon showing kind of the new progress where it is and
You've got the
and
cool
everything.
toys.
Oh yeah, it's fun. The
You
drone
need to have
shots
me
are
out
unbelievable.
next time you're going to play with that because, you know, I'm a sucker for gadgets like
The
that.
technology is unbelievable.
Well, I've seen some of the stuff you do. It's amazing.
Thank you. Well, and the other thing that's coming is the addition and the add-ons to Briscoe King Pavilion. Now the islands needed meeting space and kind of multi-purpose space for a while. There's also a hotel and call it quote-unquote convention center style place coming to the island. It's not massive what you're thinking as like Vegas Hotel Convention Center, but it's large enough to provide adequate space for what the island and what people need out here. The fun thing is, I was talking the other day with some friends about Briscoe King Pavilion and every event that I've been to there. I've literally been to everything from farmers markets, birthday parties, weddings, funerals, fishing tournaments,
Barbecue cook-offs?
What else? Barbecue cook-offs. I'm like any and every event is held there because that's one of the only spaces that we have. And the addition to Briscoe King is going to be a big help for that.
Oh, yeah.
I think people are putting a lot of energy into kind of monitoring projects on the island. The TERS that we have out here, the Tax Incremental Reinvestment Zone, for those who don't know what TERS means, is a big asset, as is one of my favorite things is the Island Strategic Action Committee.
Yeah.
And I would, if I was king of Corpus Christi, I would have a Southside kind of strategic action committee.
Right.
We've got the downtown management district.
Right.
We've got Parks and
Which
Rec,
they're on fire.
they act as advisory boards to City Hall.
Right.
And say, working with city staff, what's possible, what can we do, outcomes, expected outcomes, and kind of find the money to make things happen.
Sure.
And their involvement with the public about reaching out, doing surveys, finding out what the Islanders wanted, and breaking it down into how many times in this survey was the word sidewalk used,
Yeah.
how many times was the word pickleball court used, and they really went into depth on this.
Well, I like it.
And I'm getting the reaction from a bunch of the Islanders that work is being done and City Hall is getting a clear and united, for the most part, I know there's always something,
Right.
but for the most part, a clear and united opinion of what it is Corpus Christi Island residents want. And they're,
And I agree with you. One of the biggest things that people have as an issue is that they sometimes don't know what they want. And I say this, I can't tell you how many times in Corpus Christi people have asked for sports talk radio. You give it to them, and they don't listen to it.
Yeah.
And now I say this, there's a market for it, and in other cities it's a big market.
Yeah.
But here it's a finicky,
Fickle?
Fickle, that's what I'm looking for, yes. It's a fickle market, and people like the idea of it. They just don't make time for it. And so that's why Corpus Christi is one of the most strange places. Here's what I think the island needs. And I wish Dale had hung around for this. The island needs to have year-round promotion for what's going on the island to the local citizens of Corpus Christi. Now, there's sometimes more known about what's going on our island outside of to other tourist markets because of the Tourist Bureau, other such things, than is known here.
That's a good point.
We need to start marketing what's going on a weekly basis to the citizens of Corpus Christi who have a 28-minute drive at most to come and be a part of it. People do this. They'll travel halfway around the world to go and tour a place when they haven't seen the historical places in their own backyard. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could have much more support, much more activity, and then the things that you really need. And the way to have this is we need to have a mainland moon.
Yeah.
A mainland moon edition, because there's not I mean, how can you have somebody get carjacked, shot at 3 times, pistol whipped 16 times in the head, and then a woman shot and nobody covers it in the media? You know?
Yeah. That's a great point. And you know, we're starting to do our coast reports. We've already done a couple kind of promo ones, figuring out where we're going to do them, what all's included, and including a bunch of our other friends in different industries here. But when we'll have those on Island Moon Live. So for those out in Radio Land listening on KUKA Driscoll, Texas, 105.9 and 103.3, also on Retro Tejano 104.1, or the beautiful Retro Radio CC app. We are also on YouTube. Go to YouTube and just look for Island Moon Live. We're streaming this special episode of the Eric Von Wade Show live from Doc's Seafood and Steaks, and you can go back and listen to this. We're going to be doing coast reports from Island Moon Live.
Awesome.
That kind of explain what's going on the weekends, festivals, events, parties, the whole 9 yards. And it'll be a great time. We're crawling up on the last 2 minutes of the Eric Von Wade Show. We got to end this strong, brother. What do you want to finish with?
First, I'm going to say, with all this exposure, you know, your voice gains 5 pounds every source of media. And so I feel like I'm like 20 pounds heavier in the way I sound. And it's all good. No, I seriously think Dale needs to consider the main, I like the name even, like Mainland Moon.
Yeah.
And as an addition, because there is a need for it. You don't do it the way newspapers used to be done, but it's still a newspaper because he covers issues that matter in a depth that is fantastic.
And the best part about it is the paper is free.
Right.
And the paper is supported by our awesome sponsors and people that have businesses on the island or associated with the island in the Bluff. And it's great. That's the way to do it.
It is incredible. And I want to say, again, a special thanks to everybody here, because y'all have done a fantastic job. I'm appreciative of everything you guys have going. And I cannot say enough good things. I want to say thank you to some of my sponsors real quick, like Trinity Comics and Collectibles, as well as I'm going to be seeing them soon because my watch got busted. I got to get it fixed over there at the Central Watch Company on South Staples. Fantastic.
Excellent. And Lily Walker, thanks again for joining us earlier. Jay Gardner's back as well. Good to see you guys.
And absolutely.
You know, you mentioned this song earlier. We're going to go ahead and send this on back. Jay, you got any closing remarks? Any last minute?
Yes. The Great Chipmunk Fire
of 79
and the Jerbels of San Fernando Creek.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thanks, Radio Land.
Look into it. Thank y'all.
It has all happened. We are so glad you guys are joining us. We're going to leave y'all, speaking of Errol's song, with a little Adam Carroll.
I love Adam Carroll.
And just roll out on
him to play your parties. He's not that expensive. It's
yes,
amazing.
and he's a really
let's
nice,
get him
funny
down.
guy. It's great.
Dude, I like Adam. Yeah.
I think we ought to bring him down.
All
And
right.
his wife. Yeah.
We're going to send this on back over to Ediconius, but thank you so much for listening, friends. Y'all have a blessed day.
Absolutely.
Not too far from Gay Dun, and it's close to the home that I left behind. It's close to the home that I left behind. Mr. Errol's a father, he's a farmer.